Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I'm sure you've often heard someone say, go with your gut. Go with your gut feeling, or trust your intuition. What does that feel like? What exactly is that? Why should we? We're going to talk about that today with somebody that is so multifaceted. She helps people with whatever challenges they're going through as an amazing psychologist. But part of that is trusting yourself, and we're going to delve into that. You got some thoughts for a new year? We're here. Go with your gut. Dr. Ann Creekmore joins us on the program. How you doing today?
Great, Steve. How are you?
Very well, very well. I love this topic because I feel that many of us don't harness the power of the intuition that we've been given. And somebody said in the past, I haven't forgotten this, that it is a wonderful power that we are all born with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not some woo-woo thing. It's evolutionary. When you think about, we're animals, right? You think about animals, like, how do they not mess up? How do they still continue? How do the species continue? They're trusting their intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And we do the same, but sometimes our logic gets in the way. Animals don't have that problem where we overthink things and then we don't go with what's inside of us. What are your overall thoughts there?
I agree with you. I mean, the old adage about, go with your first impression a lot of times is just a good one. It's kind of it's kind of like going with what as you said, your gut is, and not overthinking everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have our right brain, our left brain, and our logical, analytical, and then we have our intuitive or our feeling, capacities. We want to use all of our faculties.
How do you describe the intuition, the gut feeling? I would assume they're the same.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I think we do have, I believe that someday they'll find all these parts in our body that that they couldn't, kind of fit with, in a sense. Like they say, they found things like, research has shown that people who tend to lie a lot actually have more white matter in their than in their brain. And there's more things going through. They should be writers, right? They can imagine everything. Or there's mirror neurons, they've found more of those people who tend to be more empathic. And I believe, like you said, it's kind of evolutionary. We have these capacities, these some people call it occult faculties, but the word occult just means hidden faculties, like a hidden senses. It's not like, we have it as external physical senses, our nose, we smell, our ears, we hear, and so on. But we have inner intuitive faculties that probably do correspond and be found someday through doctors, like the mirror neurons or the extra white matter and so on, that correspond to our faculties, our hidden faculties, our picking up on things. And people can have different ones that are more developed than others. Some people can get just feelings, just go into a room and feel the energy. Some people, get these thoughts kind of come to them, and of course, like artists have that, they say the muse strikes, it's just like it's flowing through them. They're picking up on something. Or some people just kind of intuitively kind of know something's going to happen. It's a matter, or kind of can pick up on what somebody's thinking. You know what I mean? Like everybody's got different ways that they pick up on things. That is their, we have the capacity for those, but some people are more gifted, let's say, in certain areas, just like they're more gifted in anything, playing ball or playing music, so you got to kind of learn your own senses and what seems to work for you, and follow it and work with it.
I believe in the intuition and the gut feeling for one reason. And that reason is I didn't follow it. And every time I didn't follow it, my intuition was saying, this is what you need to do.
Right.
This is it. Listen, I'm talking. I'm talking to you, Steve. Listen,
A-
knocking on your door, and
Absolutely.
and I ignored it. And I don't want to say I regret it because everything's a learning experience, but I can go back 25 years, almost 30 years of times I ignored it. And I can tell you where I was when I was ignoring it.
Uh-huh.
Major life decisions,
Mm,
major life decisions.
yes.
Even more recently in the last few years, another major life situation always hidden inside of me was my intuition telling me, I'm telling you, you're just, and
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'm putting it. We don't want to listen to it because sometimes there's repercussions. Maybe you need to do something or take actions. So we just push it away, just push it away.
Right.
How do you describe the feeling when your intuition, your gut feeling is there? What does it feel like for you?
Well, like I was saying, I was that people have, there's these different capacities. I mean, they actually have it, I think, even in the Bible in Corinthians, like 12:1, where they go, all, that everyone is given these certain faculties that they have, like they can get a dream that's kind of prophetic, it's guiding them, or they, have a sort of a, these intuitive faculties, or picking up energy faculties and stuff. It's even in the Bible there. And
Hmm.
so it varies, though, it says, because each one might have a greater loading or capacity on a different one. Like I was thinking about for you were saying, kind of, do you get these feelings because do you get like a feeling about it, or do you get like a thought of knowing, or do you get like just the thought coming through? For me, because you're asking me, a lot of times I just get a thought, like it's my own thought, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be sitting with a client and they're talking about something and I keep thinking, what about her mother, what about her mom? It's like this thought's coming through my mind, like the muse striking with the art, and I'm like, what about your mother? Well, that's why I'm here, and, you just kind of, and so I
Hmm.
call that following my intuition, and it being more of like a thought or hearing kind of thing. I don't hear anything, externally, but it just keeps coming at me. So that I will say it frequently, and it works. And like you said, we've got to kind of tune into our own channel of our intuition, and learn to follow it when it occurs. And then, if it pans out, then of course, then it was a intuitive, a good thing. And for you, what would you say, when you get that, some of these decisions, were you having like a certain thought of something coming to you, like, no, you got to go, say this or do this, or were you, kind of like getting a feeling or knowing, like, if I don't do this, it's going to be this way, kind of a knowing kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Uh,
in the major situations, it was more of a um, don't do it. I'm telling you, inside, this is it
right, right,
speaking to
kind
me.
of, yeah.
Don't. This is a bad idea. This is
Uh-huh.
just not what you should be doing.
Right.
But you might be in situations in life where you're already moved along. So to make changes, it would be major. So you
Absolutely.
ride it and you just say, this is the path of least resistance. So I'm just going
Right.
with it. But screaming inside like this, nope, nope,
Right.
nope, nope.
Kind of a knowing or a thought or hearing kind of thing about
Yeah.
it. And then, like you said, something comes along that interferes with your following through. Like you mentioned a few things, like, because we all have like these egos or vices, if we will, that we have to contend with, that kind of are keeping us locked into or stuck. And they can, we don't do it, like you say, well, that'll be too hard to do, kind of like the lazy ego telling you, don't bother that, or you could have, remember we talked about, or I don't know if we talked about it, and I think we did, the Enneagram,
The what?
ENNEAGRAM.
Hmm.
It's a personality typology, kind of like a Myers-Briggs, but not on the same exact spectrums. But it's the one where you can take it online. You can take the Enneagram person. That's been around since medieval times. But you can use it to ascertain what your chief primary ego or vice is. Like you just get online and you can take the personality test, the Enneagram personality test, and it will help you to, by your answers, it will kind of put you as a certain type. There's 9 types.
Hmm.
One, for example, the last one is called the peacemaker, and the chief. I bring this one up to relate to what you just said about, the chief. It relates to the 7 deadly sins. Only they add a couple more, like fear. But the chief one for that would be sloth or lazy. So, and then the virtue, what you're trying to do to get not follow that little ego, I shouldn't do this, but it's all set up. I'm going to just give in and do a passive, response would be to take action. So that can help you to start to identify, well, what is my kind of something that holds me and keeps me stuck, not following my authentic self or my intuition, some things. And then you can work on releasing that ego that maybe be holding you back. Just relating to what you said.
For the other situations, when something presents itself, I find that usually it's a lighter feeling that comes your way. It's a lighter feeling. You have 2 feelings. This one's light. Right. This one's heavy. And when it's lighter, your intuition, right? It seems like, oh, that's the choice. But then the mind gets in the way.
Right.
Oh, okay. The ego. And it says, come on, it can't be that easy. No. You need to go deeper. You need to think deeper. It's not going. It doesn't make sense. So we go with the heavier feeling, which is the wrong feeling, the wrong answer.
Right.
Because we let logic get in the way. And I've tested it even in situations, not major ones like I described before, but just situations that come up where, let's say I'm going to meet somebody, never met him before. And whether it's a personal situation or whether it's a business, whatever it might be. And I've thought to myself how it's going to go. I've seen it, I visualized it. And I have to tell you, 99%, 95% of the time, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. And I could have just bailed on the meeting. And when I say usually it doesn't really support me, but I go anyway, just to test my intuition. And it usually comes out that way. Now, I want to put a side note on that. And that is, I often wonder, did I use my intuition to tell how the situation is going to go down? Or did I manifest it to go that way?
Right. Because we've talked a lot, even like the cognitive behavioral therapy, we know our thoughts are prayers, cognitively, what we say to ourselves is creating the situation. So you kind of, you have this kind of toss up where you're going, well, you don't want to feed into something from being negative. And creating some negativity because that's what you're expecting, the self-fulfilling prophecy, that first chapter in my book.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, it sounds like in your situation that you kind of got up knowing that this wasn't going to go that way, but you still went kind of with that positive attitude of trying and didn't listen to your intuition, right? As far as like knowing that it wouldn't be, rather than creating it. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? You didn't go in with a negative attitude, I don't think, right?
No. And I, the more we talk about this, I think about it, and I'm not doing anything except taking the information that somebody gave me, whatever it may be, who they are, scenarios that they've already presented to me. I'm not doing anything. So sitting back here, and should we meet, whether it's a business thing, social, whatever it might be. And then I just go, I'm not I don't think I'm changing anything. Right. I'm getting a feeling based on what I was given, be it the energy, the information. And then I just, my gut tells me something and I just go, let me see.
Well, what comes to my mind, Steve, It sounds to me, I mean, and I don't, I'm not diagnosing you because this isn't really psychology per se. It is a personality typology that anyone has access to.
Mhm.
But one of the personality typologies, number two, is the helper, is the one that, it's about, kind of wanting to be loved and, have love, but then to help as a way, in a way, to get the approval. It's actually the ego of it is, I think it's called vanity or flattery. It's called flattery. It's kind of like wanting to put yourself out there, be a helper. And I don't know if that relates to you at all, that could be something getting in your way. Like sometimes, for your own authentic self, this isn't worth your time and effort. But your ego, who wants to be there for people and wants to be a helper and, wants that sense of love and back from being a helper, you move in that direction. Is there any possibility that fits at all for you? You could take the test and tell us next time. And then
I will, and I'll address.
and
I'll
it might
address.
have nothing to do with it. It just seems to
No,
be
no,
like
no.
it can, because that's what we have to watch out for with our cognitive behavioral therapy. We have to just, stop the negative, even if it's a negative ego or vice. Like say you were going to go to this meeting and it's not going to work out, but this person has, say, for the gluttony ego, right? One of seven deadly sins. Their chief one is, yeah, but we're going to a great restaurant, so we'll go eat. You kind of know and get into yourself and find out, well, what is it that is that? It's not the little devil on your shoulder per se, but in a sense, what is that negative thing that's pulling you from doing what you really would be right for you?
In
And
these situations, so I'll address all of that. The helper syndrome and
uh-huh,
that.
uh-huh,
I get what you're saying, and in the past, I would say there's some accuracy for me in that.
uh-huh.
And we all probably have that feeling, the classic, I feel like I'm not good enough. So you go above and beyond,
Uh-huh.
show value to people. So you think that they'll always want you. And I get what you're saying. In these situations, in most current times for me, last few years, I would factor that out.
Good.
And
Excellent.
also I get the gluttony thing, like, well, I'm just gonna go. It's a nice restaurant, whatever. Um,
Right. We don't want to.
there's some truth in that, I think, for many. For me, it's not, and I know it's not,
Yeah.
because I've become more selective because I don't have time.
Right.
So, if somebody says, "Hey, let's get together, let's meet," I'm like, if I can handle it on an email, and I'm out all the time doing social stuff all the time. I
Right.
just don't have extra time if it's not going to make sense for me. So
Right.
I'm very strategic in
Look.
that. So it's the gut, and I just go in these some certain situations just to see if my gut is right. That's really
Well,
all it
there's
is.
nothing wrong with that. We're either learning or having fun, right? I mean, part of it is learning. I think that's an excellent point. People should work on, see what their channels are, their main ways, and you could try. That's the only way is practice makes progress, and you learn,
Hmm.
hey, these are, this is good intuition. I'm going to follow it. But, you can check it out. That's the only way to learn.
That's it. And well, that's. I guess I reverse engineer it. I want to test it, and it's
Mhm.
been said before
Yeah,
too. If you want to test your intuition, go with the little stuff. Go with
right.
what do I want for dinner tonight? Do I want Chinese or do I want Italian? Let me think about
Mhm.
that. What is my gut telling me? What is the right choice for me now?
Mhm.
And go, and same thing if you're driving. There's some traffic. I wonder if I should pivot over on this road over here. Let me think, listen deep within.
Mhm.
What's it saying? And you could use an app, but a lot of times they're not right. They're not fully updated.
Mhm.
What's right for me at this time?
Exactly.
And listen.
Absolutely. And that is a really good one. Sometimes if you feel some anxiety, you could ask that question of yourself. Is this something I'm picking up from energy from around me? Or is this about me that I need to something going on. And if it isn't, go to whatever, go to yours, go. And it can be a way of relieving yourself. So you kind of check in, like you're saying, and see, what you get back, and just follow it, see where it goes, right, and see how it works. Small things, especially, right?
That's a great point. And I feel a lot of times many things get in the way of our intuition, like you just said, anxiety. So if you've got anxiety floating around, then you've got other situations over here, and things are swirling around in your head. You can't truly listen to what is being told to you from within. And I believe that every answer you need, everything you're pondering, choice A, choice B, I can't decide. I don't know which one. You
where are you going?
know the answer.
It's within.
It's within.
It's within. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Instead of, and a lot of times we go to friends and we say, I don't know what to do. What do you think I should do? If you were me, what would you do? Would you take choice A or choice B? Which is fine. Might cloud things up a little bit. If you listen within and learn to trust, that's the key word. Trust your intuition.
Absolutely.
You'll get the answer and you'll act on the answer.
Right. And just beware of your own inner, ego or vice, that isn't helping you make the decision.
Yes. And the gluttony thing is big, because what are some of the the drivers there? Food, money, intimacy. There's a bunch of them there that could make you make a certain decision, but it's really not the right decision. You're going against your gut.
Exactly. Yeah. Partial that out. Stop that.
And not easy though, because,
no.
And I'm sure you would agree, as somebody who does what you do as a psychologist, that we want reward. So what comes from gluttony? Right. It's your reward.
Yeah. Unsated, feeling, chill. Yeah. You want that.
Yeah. There's got to be something, what's in it for me kind of thing. So when your gut is telling you, again, hypothetically going to a meeting, and you got to say, no, dude, it's going to be the same. You know what it's going to be like. What the answer is. But like you said, it's a nice restaurant. Or I might make a couple of extra bucks on it, or whatever it might be.
There you go.
So I'm just going to do it because I deserve it.
Right.
And then you go. But you know what? In those situations, more times than not, it turns into a disappointment.
Right. Yeah. Kind of just now, just go with your gut.
Go with your gut. Yeah. This is a lot of this. What we're talking about today is one of the chapters in your book, Love Yourself, Love Your Life.
Yeah, there's more in there. In the Your Word is Your Magical Mystical Wand chapter. Chapter 5, and more on helping you on how to do that. Yeah.
So much insight in that book. You can find more details when we find you. Best way to do that is how?
Yeah. Just look me up and Psychology Today, that directory under under Dr. Ann Creekmore, and it'll there's a link there. Get to that, click it, and go right to my website where I practice and have all my email, phone number, and information about me and my practice.
Awesome. Psychology Today, Dr. Ann Creekmore. If you look for that book and any of the others, it's under her pen name, A.P. Belosa. Great talking with you today, Ann. My intuition says 2025 is going to be amazing, and you're part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll catch up soon.
Okay.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.